All right, let's talk a little Cavs, then we're going to play a little emoji
Mikey,
game.
I got to interrupt again.
What do you got?
I'm going to frustrate you
I
again.
can't wait till you
I want another animal fact. We need a segment. Bull's animal facts.
I do have a lot of good animal facts, but honestly, this one is about the Browns. I texted two beat reporters for the Browns and said, is David Njoku going to play this week? One of them said doubtful. One of them said no, just so you have that.
Well, that means he definitely ain't playing then, right?
He ain't playing then.
Ooh.
You know who is playing, though? Cavs and the Warriors tonight.
Let's get it.
For real this time.
That's
Bill
exactly
Barr was
right.
playing.
It's the most anticipated game of the regular season.
You're catching on, Bull. So, guys, obviously the game on Wednesday against the Kings, bit of a letdown.
Yeah.
Bit.
Possibly overlooking Sacramento, looking ahead to Golden State. Before we get to the matchup, Jay, I want to ask you this first.
Yeah.
Do you still have a livid hatred for Golden State?
I don't.
Franchise?
No, I don't. No, it was healthy dislike. It was never hatred, but it was a healthy dislike during the NBA Finals years, 16 and 17 and all of that whole stretch. But Steph's too good of a guy. Draymond Green, as big an asshole as he is on the court, is in person. If every single person in here met him, you would walk away and you would say,
of course,
wow, that guy's like over the top nice, and he's a good dude.
Yep.
And so I don't. Now, if we meet him in the NBA Finals again, I might ratchet it up to a very strong dislike. But right now, it's respect. What they did last year, coming back and winning another title with a lot of the same pieces, but some new pieces mixed in. Wiggins was, he was a newcomer to that.
You know what I think? I think there was a lot of people.
Right?
This sucked. I think a lot of people really don't like the Golden State Warriors because of the way that the Cavs players' relationship with the Warriors. Like when we got to 2016 happened and we won the championship, I wanted to be vindicated. Like I wanted to be like, oh, we're gonna beat y'all every year. But then in the offseason, it was kind of like, what do you mean Kyrie and Kevin Durant is cool? I already know where that's going. Yeah, and then I'm like, okay, well then LeBron was like, oh no, I got to deal with Draymond Green. I got a podcast for him. I'm like, how? And then Anderson.
I don't like that in general.
Anderson Varejao was already over there, and I'm like, well, hold on, man, how am I supposed to not like them? And these dudes is buddies. Yeah. They cool.
G. Bush, you touched on something that we haven't really talked about much on this show, but Mike Ditka, every time he sees players exchanging jerseys and dabbing up and posing for photos, a little piece of his soul dies. It's that era, and you don't even have to go back to the 60s and the 70s.
Yeah.
Even the Kozars of the world, they had a mutual respect for the opposition. But once that final whistle blew, they were okay with shaking hands and getting to their locker room. But they weren't talking about off-season workout vacations.
No.
And now it's just like these guys now,
and it's
all
open.
feel like they're all in open air.
But here's my question, and to be fair, I hear this a lot, and I get it. They don't hate each other anymore. They're not going up against each other.
Hate each other.
There's not that killer instinct anymore. And might be right. But that's the sport, that's the kind of mentality that was put into us by coaches when we were kids during that era.
You're right, yeah.
And that's the only right way to do it is to have animosity on the court or on the field all the time.
To hate the opponent as much as we hate the opponent.
But is that just our generation? Does the younger generation are they like, you don't have to hate each other to be really good at a sport?
I don't know.
And like to be at your best.
Who's the youngest person in this room right now?
Do you have to be fueled by hate or anger or resentment or something for the other side in order to perform at your best? Maybe you do.
That's a good question.
I believe at the highest levels you do.
Bull, are you okay with that? There was a game, an NFL game this year that ended on a play that was reversed and overturned, and they had to bring the players back out on the field. There were a couple of players who had already signed their jerseys and given them to guys on the other team.
Yeah.
And then they're like, whoa, hold on. Game's not over. We got to come back and we got to do this again.
Right.
And they had to get the jersey back, which they've already signed, from their. Are you okay with that kind of mutual respect?
I mean, personally, I hate it because I'm old and curmudgeonly and I hate it. But that's just the way things are these days. I don't know. I mean, maybe it is a good thing that guys don't hate each other as much. I don't know. But we still have intense games. It's not like football is not intense or these sports are not intense.
Yeah.
I think these guys still want to beat each other. It's just the way it's a generational thing. For us, it seems crazy. I would play in high school baseball. I wanted to kill my opponent. High school baseball.
But that's because we had coaches, the male figures in our lives, yelling at us, you've got to hate them.
Yeah.
You got to want it more.
Yeah.
If you don't want it, then you stink.
And maybe that
got into our heads, and now that's why we all are mad all the time. I don't know.
Jay, I know you said – go ahead, G.
There is one reason why Tom Brady is still viable.
He's a sociopath.
It's because of that mentality.
Yeah.
He has it, they don't. So that's why he could be 50.
Because he's from that generation.
Because he just
He's from our generation.
That's why they stick around so long.
Yeah.
He gave his marriage up because he's like, oh, these dudes are soft. He looks at the way they prepare.
Yep.
He looks at the way they don't watch film. He looks at the fact that their eating habits ain't ready to go. Look, Carmelo Anthony could have been the greatest basketball player on the face of the planet. Mm-hmm. He refused to touch a weight. He did. Dwight Howard, he just refused to be serious.
Yeah.
These guys are talented, but even with LeBron did it with his body and everything. But LeBron was like, look, I can't, I don't know if I want to play at that level and carry a team as much as I need to carry him. And even he had to come up with say, listen, I'm gonna just go out in LA and hang out. Because if he wanted to, he should have never signed a second extension with the Lakers.
I was shocked he did.
Totally.
But he took the bag because he wants to be a billionaire, and he'd already done chalked it up. He's like, okay.
He'd rather be a billionaire with 4 rings in LA than a billionaire with 6 rings somewhere
And
else.
lifestyle.
in Cleveland.
Lifestyle.
That's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what hurts him. He would rather be a billionaire in LA with only 4 rings, but be a billionaire in Cleveland with 6 to 7.
Yeah, but they just started production on his reality show where they work in a pizza shop, so he's got to be there for that on set, obviously.
Yeah.
He's
The
the
mentality is
executive
different.
producer.
And I'll give Steph Curry credit. I'll give Steph credit. I'm going to give him credit for the fact that as long as he can shoot, a lot of guys don't think Steph can get put in that top 10. I'm telling you, if he keep winning these rings,
never.
why not?
Never.
Yeah.
Never.
Why not? How many rings he got? 4?
I'm weird because I know we're supposed to be talking about whether we hate Golden State still and whatnot, and I did not hate them through 2016, through that title. I never did. I always respected them. They did it the right way, too.
When Steph Curry was throwing his mouthpiece, you weren't.
Wait,
No,
Mike.
I mean, yeah, but I love
Mike,
that
you
rivalry.
can respect and hate at the same time.
Yes. Yeah, you can respect and dislike.
I hate the Warriors.
Yes.
The only reason I don't hate Steph Curry as much now is because he's on my fantasy team. That's the only reason I don't hate him as much now.
Right.
But I hate despite what Jay said, I'm sure Jay's right. He's a nice guy, but I hate Draymond Green.
Sure. And I hate.
I did until
but
I met him.
you're right. I had like an anger and a hatred, and like as far as they were arrogant, but they drafted that team. They came up. That wasn't like a super team they put together.
No.
So you already had to respect that.
And it wasn't like the
Until
Celtics
Durant.
that decided to team up and
the good management, and I even like their crowd and everything. I like their and then they were
coach
the
is
opposite
likable.
of the Miami Heat crowd, fan base. But then we get through 2016, and then they did the Kevin Durant thing, and that is when
really bothered me.
Is when I lost respect. That's when I was like, now I hate this team, and I have the right to
Now
hate
you
this
got a
team
hired
now.
gun on
And
that.
that's when I was like, screw
point.
them.
That's the point that when they got really bad. But I think the point that really got bad, but we really took. I don't say we're going to be happy about it, but look at what happened. We felt that there was some sort of karma, and the Toronto Raptors made me like I let it all go because what happened?
Yeah.
They played the Raptors. They got beat.
Yep.
Durant tore his Achilles heel and was gone for a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Klay Thompson tore his ACL.
Yeah.
And was gone. And then he came
They
back.
finished with the worst record in the league, didn't
They
they?
finished with the worst record in the league, got the #1 overall pick. And Steph Curry didn't play. Draymond Green, we saw him play. We always wanted to know, what would he look like
Without his guys.
And he looked terrible.
Yep, we didn't find out
so
what he was.
They got all smoked. And then we were like, oh, okay.
But you know what?
Okay.
When you consider what this team has done, I don't think that you can find another team in sports ever that has done what they did.
No.
They won championships.
Yep.
They had bookend 4.
Best record in the league.
Yep.
Ever.
And in between that, they were the worst team in the league.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So you went from first to worst to first, and most of the pieces remained the same. Now, granted, they were injuries, and they came back from that.
Yes.
That's why last year, to me, I was like, I just got to tip my hat.
That was impressive.
I
It was.
tip my hat to these guys.
It was.
Man.
That was impressive.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we didn't quite do that. But if you think about it, that's not too different of a path from the Cavs when LeBron left and we were doing well. We went to the finals, if you'll recall, and whatnot.
Sure.
Then he left. We bottomed out. That's how we got Kyrie. Then he came back. We won a championship.
Yeah.
So I think that probably isn't unprecedented, that sort of
Yeah, but
rise
our
and
best
fall.
player left and came back in that stretch.
Yeah, that's true.
Like Golden
That doesn't
State
happen.
didn't have that.
And he was born here.
And they won championships on both ends.
Yes.
which
Yeah,
is
that's what I'm
true.
saying. There was bookend with championships, and in between, they were the worst team in the league. We've got a minute 45 left to talk about tonight's game. What do we expect?
Well, hopefully Darius Garland's playing better. I thought he had a really couple bad games. It's to be said. It's going to happen anyway. They're getting used to playing. I think they got a little used to Donovan Mitchell just having the ball at the end of the game. Now they have to interject, and guys got to get together. I'm a little worried about Mobley and where he gets his shots at. I think he's just playing with energy and rim running at this point. But it's a work in progress. So hopefully they'll close out on shooters. We'll see. If they win, we'll be super excited.
I think Mobley will. I think he's finding his place. I think he's like he will adapt, and he's just figuring out where he fits in here. But I think that you're right. That is right now it looks weird. But my concern about this team, and I'm hoping I'm just making this up right now, like that I'm just seeing something that's not there. Is I think we got really anxious at the beginning of the season, super excited. We're like, oh, we got to skip the part where they had to learn how to gel together and become a good team. They're already there. It looks like we're going to dominate the whole season. And then we've had a wake-up call over the last couple of games where we're like, oh, okay, maybe that's not going to be quite as smooth and quite as immediate as we had hoped. The one thing that worries me just a little bit is when did Darius Garland start to shine? It was when Colin Sexton left, really.
Yeah.
Because there's one ball, and they both. I'm not sure if this would have always been the case. If he would have turned that corner otherwise, who knows? We never can know. But they both do well with the ball in their hand. And once he was gone, that was no longer an issue. Garland blossomed. And now we've got another guy who does really well with the ball in his hand.
Better than the guy who we talked about.
Much better.
Well,
and
wait
has
a
more
second,
of a right
guys.
to have it in his hand.
Wait, but hold on.
Go
Let
ahead.
me finish
Yeah.
his point
Yeah.
because Mike, I think he's honest. I'm not
And-
saying that they can't coexist.
Neither am I, and I want to make that
I
clear
share
too.
your fear.
I want to make that clear too. I don't think that. I think they can. I think they proved that they showed how amazing they can play together. But to find that groove, it's not as easy as everybody we assumed it was after that first week, and it might take them a little longer than we thought. That's my concern.
Bull, what do you want to add to that?
Okay, so number one, and nobody should have assumed there weren't going to be growing pains just because they got off to a good start.
No.
There were always going to be growing pains. There had to be. There are now. I have zero long-term concerns. I had some idiot already tweeted me yesterday and said, I think this team's better off without Darius Garland. That's short-sighted and stupid.
Wow.
All right? I'm not worried about
No.
Colin Sexton, when the ball went to Colin Sexton, it never came out. Donovan Mitchell, yes, he plays with the ball in his hand, but he is a huge passer. I mean, he's not a selfish player. So, yes, they do have to get used to playing with each other, which we knew, which is why when Garland came back, we get some of the growing pains that we thought we'd have initially, and we didn't because you didn't have to worry about it in the beginning of the year. Of course, these things take time. It's absolutely absurd to panic about it after 2 games.
Well, I know you're right. That's just a voice in the back of my head, and that.
Yeah.
And
I don't
that
think
was
it's
it.
panic, Bull. I think it's
No,
concern.
it's not.
It's a mild concern, and that is going to be the growing pain that they have to work through.
It's a thought.
How do they both? They're 2 ball dominant players.
Yep.
How do they find that groove? I have no
Yes.
doubt they will because their personalities will let that happen.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm not sure
There's
Colin
zero
Sexton
reason to believe
was.
they won't figure it out eventually.
And by the
There's zero
way,
reason to believe.
there's no planet where Colin Sexton is the same level as Mitchell.
Not even close.
He's shown
my
he's
God.
he's a different level than I thought he was, and I knew he was all-star.
I agree with that. He has been better than I expected him to be.
The Utah
and we knew
Cavs
what he
look pretty
was.
good too, though. The Utah Cavs look pretty good.
Lori marketing,
right.
by the way.
Balling too.
You have some business.
Yeah,
to
we
take
do.
care of.
We are going to